Hey lovelies, I am so very excited for today's try on. I have been waiting to try this brand for a very long time. It's been on my wish list for quite a while and it just has never happened. And this year, the sale was the time to do it. Of course, as you saw, I'm talking about Phytosurgence. I have quite a few products here to try. We have bronzers, eyeshadows, blushes. I am really excited to dive into this. We're gonna do a try on. I'll swatch all the shades that I purchased during the sale. I mean, I feel like today is sort of a mini holiday. Getting to try out some cream products is always just so much fun for me, and I hope that this video is helpful for you. But if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist. And here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Okay, we are gonna dive into this. We're gonna do a full face of makeup, but as you can tell, today is sort of like a cozy casual day. I do have some errands to run after this, so I'm just kind of like looking for soft vibes, which I feel like is very much the aesthetic of this brand. If you haven't ever seen Phytosurgence, you probably don't have Instagram. Because I feel like everybody is talking about this brand. But of course, I will link their socials along with their brand site down below if you do want to take a peek. I will tell you that right now, the stock of products online is pretty minimal because I know that Jason from Phytosurgence obviously had said that they beat their sales by like droves. I don't even know. I can't even remember what Jason said. It was by a lot. It was by a lot, y'all. So right now they have a minimal stock. You were talking about a 2-person company that is fulfilling all of these orders and creating all these products. So give them a moment if there's anything that, you know, catches your fancy here. But I just really love the sort of like juicy skin, naturally enhanced, but with a little extra something sort of like vibe that this brand has. So I guess that's the look I'm going for today. Fingers crossed that we get there together. All right, I'm gonna zoom you in and we'll do some swatches and then we'll get this makeup on my face. All right, so let's take a look at the packaging here of all the products. You just have this really crisp, clean aesthetic. I really enjoy this. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna start out with the bronzer. I did get one shade of the Spectral Sunlight Cream Bronzer. Now, I love that this product comes in an array of depths, and also you have a rosy and a golden bronzer. So whether you're looking for that more like sunburnt slightly look or a more golden bronze, you have the opportunity there. Now I went ahead and got the shade 3, which is the golden warmth shade. So here she is in the pan. And I'll be honest, I was very tempted to get both the rosy and the golden shade. But right now I do have some creams in my collection that are more on the rosy side. I'm thinking of like the Sydney Grace ones. Granted, I also have a warm Sydney Grace, but that's like really, really warm. So I was looking for more of like a natural warm. And I just think that for me, you know, here going through the winter, I just tend to want the more rosy tones in the summer because that's like when I'm really actually getting sun. So that's just, I don't know, that's just me. Now, I would recommend if you do pick up any of these products, take time to go through the description of the products and listen to how they talk about storing them, about the tools that they suggest using and all of that. I think that they did a great job just really being very thorough. I will let you know that they say that this product is not meant to be used with fingers. It's really meant to be used with a brush, which is what we're gonna do. I am gonna sort of break the rules here and use my finger for a swatch. Now, they did say that repeated use of fingers can sort of like change the texture of the product, just the way that it looks in the pan, it'll still work fine. So I don't think that I'll be doing that a lot. You all know that I'm not really team fingers anyway. In fact, I'm so not team fingers that it dissuaded me from getting one of the products, and I'll get into that in just a minute. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a nice big swatch here of the bronzer so that you can see that. So it definitely has a golden warmth, but it's not, I mean, that's gonna just look so nice. Like it is like a neutral golden, you know, it's not going to be like so golden that it's like unnatural. And I can tell that this is going to be able to be built up, but also be worn really sheer, which is exactly what I like in a cream bronzer. I like something that I can just like play with, melt into the skin, you know, and kind of work with it that way. So I'm really excited to try this one out. Now we'll go ahead and swatch out the blushes that I got. Now, if you know me, you know that I probably got a few blushes, and I did. I actually ended up getting one less than I really wanted to because one of the 2 new shades, I cannot remember the name, but it was one that they sort of like said was like a rosy chai. I was like, oh, I need that in my life. And it was like sold out. In fact, both of the sort of like limited shades sold out I think in early access. It was like boom. And I was very tempted to go and like pick up a replacement shade, and I was like, no, you don't need to do that. You got 3. That's gonna be enough. And you know what? I can always pick up the other one if I want it. And I also went through my blush collection afterwards, and I was like, oh, this Salt New York Cream Tint Pro is somewhat similar. I think they're gonna be different textures, but it was somewhat similar. So we're gonna be fine. So let's go through with the 3 shades. I think I can fit them on this hand next to the bronzer. I first got the shade Evaporate, and this is, again, the Skin Spark Cream Blush. So these, of course, you can use with a brush or with your fingers, which, again, not really team fingers. Now, the reason I got this shade is because it's a bit different than everything I have in my collection right now. I feel like it's just like a grungified, like enriched shade. Like not grungy as in like made gray, but grungy as in almost like desaturated, no, not quite super bright, which I thought would be really pretty for fall and winter. So Evaporate is one of the Toasted series, and this is basically a toastier version of the shade Smolder. So they say it is a neutral, smoky peach. So because I have a skin tone that leans a little bit warmer, this doesn't look quite as peach on me. It almost looks a little bit more, I mean, like dusty rosy, I would say. So do keep that in mind as we go through here. I do have a, you know, neutral leaning, more olive skin tone. So shades will look a little bit different on me than they do on you if you have, like, let's say a cooler undertone. Okay, so the next shade we have here is Sublimate, and Sublimate is another one of the Toasted series. This is Toasted Fervor, and the brand describes this as an earthy, tannin-rich, deep cherry tone. Again, I was trying to get shades that I felt were different than what I currently have. Like, there's no point in me picking up the same darn shades I have in just a different brand, right? So, ooh, this is a very pretty one. This, I think, is that beautiful, they say cherry, but when I think of cherry, I think of, I mean, I guess if you think black cherry, yes, this is sort of like a toasty black cherry, but I would say that this is almost like, I don't know, like a neutralized mulberry shade. That's going to be really pretty. Ooh. And these feel very creamy, but not quite as emollient as, let's say, the Cream Tint Pros. You know, those have definitely a little bit more emolliency than these. These feel just beautiful. Now, this last shade is Inferno, and the brand describes this as a terracotta rose. Let me tell you, you really need to go on to the website and just do like a little dive, a little peruse through the website. They've done such a good job. They give shade descriptions for everything. They tell you how to store the makeup properly, how to use it, you know, which tools and everything. So I just think that they did a really nice job, like information-wise. Oh, do you want to see the pan of this guy? Super pretty. I don't know if I've been showing that, but I feel like it's better just to swatch it anyway. So I would say that this is a bit warmer than the last shade we swatched. You can see there, again, another beautiful color, and definitely one that I don't feel like I have. I mean, do I have something close? Maybe, but I like the array that we have here. Very pretty. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now, we should probably swatch the eyeshadows so that then we can decide, because I'm already like, I don't know, I want to wear all of them. Okay, so let's get into the Flash Florescence eyeshadows. So I picked up 2 of them. I picked up Wild Oak and Velvet Leaf. Now these are both more of the, I guess I would say, more classic metallic formula. They also have the Celestial Ceremony eyeshadow collection, and they mentioned that those are going to be best used with a finger to avoid glitter fallout. No thank you, no fingers for me. Usually, well, I mean, every once in a while, I just like to shake it up and surprise all of you and use a finger for an eyeshadow, but it's not very often. I have to be honest, also, like when you have nails, getting into a pot like this is really kind of hard. So I'm gonna try to give you a decent swatch here. This is Velvet Leaf. I'm so excited for this shade. This looks to be a little bit more of like a neutralized ivy shade. Now also, please don't be surprised, and I don't know if the brand is saying this at all, but please don't be surprised if you need to like warm up and sort of like break that surface of a cream product when you first get it. The blushes, I definitely didn't need to do that, but I would not be surprised if I just kind of need to work into these eyeshadows a little bit. So these are definitely going to be for like quick, easy, don't want to think about it, sort of like eye makeup days, because they are a bit softer. I'm going to see how much I can build them up, but I knew going into this and looking at the swatches, they're pretty soft. So again, we have Velvet Leaf and Wild Oak. So Velvet Leaf is this sort of desaturated, earthy ivy shade, and then Wild Oak is just a nice, you know, it's that everyday sort of like golden fawn shade. Okay, so just a note on, all right, so just a note on these eyeshadows. They do say that using a fluffy brush typically brings out the shine in the shadows a bit more. For shades like Velvet Leaf and Deeply Rooted, it brings out the respective green and blue shifts out more. So otherwise you can use your fingers to swirl, pat, or swipe. No fingers. I'm not going to use fingers. What I'll probably do is use a flat brush to kind of like pack some on and then like fluff it out a little bit. We'll see what we get. So what the brand says is that these have a creamy texture that allows for easy application with fingers or a brush, and they provide a good amount of working time, but they dry down to a powder finish. So again, I think that, you know, this is going to be something for like those soft makeup days. And I knew this going into it, it's not going to be that like wham foiled color. So if you're looking for that, these are going to be a little bit disappointing. Just like I think that the celestial shadows that they have, those are more of that like ethereal sort of like low-key kind of sparkle, like beautiful, but more of that like natural ethereal effect rather than like ba-bam, which is absolutely okay. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to start out with the bronzer. I'm really excited to try this out. By the way, in case you're curious what I already have on my face, I have the Light Illusion foundation mixed with a bit of the primerizer. Actually, it's probably 2 parts primerizer to 1 part of the foundation. I'm not going for like high coverage today, and then the Haus Labs concealer, which I'm not quite sure where it went. So that's what I've used to prime my lids and get rid of the discoloration, do my under eye, and I did also take care of a couple spots, which will be really interesting. I'll be really interested to see how these, with having an emollient texture, how they do over the top of concealer. You know, sometimes emollient products can really like take off the concealing that you've done over breakouts and, you know, pigmentation. So I'm really giving this like a nice little swirl. This is a fairly firm product, so you're going to want a fairly firm brush, but you don't need a lot of product, if that makes sense. At least that's what the brand says. So I'm just going to kind of build this as we go. Oh, this undertone is so pretty. Like, yes, it has a little bit of warmth, but I think even if you had a cooler skin tone, you could get away with using this, you know, if you're really looking for like a nice amount of rich color. Oh, this is so pretty. You know, I love a good bronzed temple. Oh, this is blending in really nicely. So I feel like I can both, you know, stipple this product in and then just kind of like buff out the edges, but you could really kind of like work this into the skin, especially if you are on like a, you know, no base makeup kind of day and you're just looking to add some warmth and even just like some dimension to your face. Okay, really liking this. I'm definitely glad that I picked one of these up. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about the bronzer, but I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I just got to try it out. And I'm glad that I did. This is going to be so nice for me for this time of year, like fall and winter. I do think I probably could have bumped up for the summertime. But I definitely think that this is going to be a nice one to get me through this season. Okay, so feeling this on the skin, it has a bit of a balmy feel to it. It does have a feel. I don't want to say that it's waxy and it's not super tacky. I'll have to see as we go through if this continues to dry down a little bit more or if it still has a little bit of that tack to it. It's not sticky. It's balmy, but not like slippy, slidey balmy like, you know, the Jones Road product that I just don't understand. Not even as slippy slidey as, let's say, the Cream Tint Pros from Salt, New York. And nothing that like a very light dusting of translucent powder wouldn't take down, I'm assuming, if that isn't your jam. So I think I'm going to try using 2 blushes. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to use Sublimate on the front of the cheeks and then just add an extra pop like up towards my temples with Inferno, since that's the like deeper, warmer shade. Just do like a little ombre moment. So I have a feeling we're not going to need a lot of this. And I want a brush that has like a medium firm feel. Let's try out the BK Beauty 109. It is, you know, a little bit bigger than this pan, but nothing that's going to get like really out of control, I don't think. So I've just taken like the tiniest amount. If you really wanted to, you could work, yeah, wow, okay. You could work the bristles into your hand first. Okay, this is beautiful, but I'm just thinking like, I am probably not gonna need a refill. Let me know, have you gone through, if you love Phytosurgence blushes, have you gone through one of these? Like, I feel like this is gonna last me for a really long time. That color, oh my gosh. Okay, these blend into the skin really, really nicely. Okay, so again, this is Sublimate on its own. I have to say, it's not quite as dewy as what I was thinking it would be. And honestly, I feel like that's a good thing. Like, I have dry skin, especially this time going into winter, but I've just been liking something that's more satin just because I feel like it lasts through my long days. You know, this time of year, I'm working like 10, 12-hour days at the salon. And so by the end of the day, I just don't want it all like either gone or like overly shiny. So I think that that looks really good. And you know what? I mean, I did just try to do like a lot of stippling rather than buffing, but I don't feel like it pulled up too much of my concealer. I did conceal this spot. This one maybe popped out just a little bit, but it looks very good. It did not pull up a lot of my coverage. Not that I have a crazy ton on. Okay, that looks pretty. And it's got a nice glow to it. It again is like healthy, moisturized skin. I drank some water, but it's not like overly dewy. So because more is more in the case of blush, let's go ahead and add Inferno. Ooh, okay, so we're gonna just pop this on this area here. Yeah, we've got some intense colors, which I'm fine with. You know, the thing, I'm not really afraid of colors that have a bit more pigmentation to them because I can just use less, which to me means not only, I mean, not that I have enough blushes that I don't need to be like scrimping on the amount of product that I use, but as far as like how it looks on the skin, I feel like the less product that I use, the more my skin looks like skin. So I'd rather have a really pigmented product. Sorry, my baby hairs are deciding that they want to join the party. But I feel like the less product I have in my skin, the more my skin looks like skin, the longer that my makeup lasts, and it just all wears really beautifully. This really kind of gives a naturally like sunburnt vibe. Really pretty. I don't know how these are on the lips. Has anyone tried these on the lips? Are they lip safe? I'm kind of tempted because I feel like it might be like a nice little texture. Okay, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna have to look into that and I will get back to you. Okay, so I did also want to mention that I love, like I was saying, they did such a good job on their website. They denote the blush shades that have a low white base, which means if you have a deeper dark skin tone, they're going to look beautiful on you. They're a little bit more translucent, not quite as opaque, but they aren't going to look like chalky or ashy on super deep skin tones. And I think that that's beautiful. They've done such a great job really thinking about like every skin tone that's out there. Now, as far as texture goes, I feel like the Skin Spark blushes have less of that balmy, waxy feel than the bronzer does. They just feel, you know, like a standard cream blush. They feel juicy and nice and hydrated on the cheeks, but they don't have quite as much tack. And I mean, this doesn't, actually it's kind of already settled down a little bit. So let's go through and try on Velvet Leaf on the eyes. So I'm gonna take a flat brush first and build that onto my lid. And then we'll go ahead and buff it out with a fluffy brush and see. So I have, by the way, the What's Up Beauty R106. Now I could also see as using these as a nice base to build up powder shadows on top of. You know, I would think that that would just give you a really dimensional look. You'd be able to, you know, just get like a little bit more of a color base, especially if you're wanting to use like a topper shade over the top. So now I'm gonna go ahead and buff out the edge here. And then I'm gonna run this buffer over the top. I do think that it brought out a little bit more shine into this product. Like not a crazy ton, but it did, you know, bring out a little bit more of that. Okay, let's try it on the other side. So on the other side, I'm gonna pack it on with the same brush and I'm gonna use a different blender brush just to make sure that I didn't maybe have like some micro sparkle on my brush. Okay, so again, I've laid it down with the same brush and now I'm going through with the Larafe E13. We'll also get to see how this works with natural hair versus synthetic. Okay, I feel like maybe I had a little bit of sparkle left on that other brush just because this side isn't getting quite as like sheeny and shiny. It's pretty. It's just not sheeny and shiny. So to make it match, I feel like what I need to do is use this brush. I must have, you know, sometimes I feel like if you do like a quick wash with a makeup brush cleanser, you know, you're not actually washing them. It just doesn't get out all of the sparkle. Okay. I really like it. It's very soft though. This reminds me a lot of what you get from a lot of like cream shadow sticks, you know, where it's like that sort of like more satin effect than like a true shimmer. I'm just going to take that flat brush and run a little bit underneath my lash line. And I'm just going to do that on like the outer third because we might as well use the Wild Oak shade. I feel like that color is a little too dark to use as technically an inner corner, but it'll be able to give us just a little pop on the inside here. All right, so now let's just go through with a pencil brush and we'll take Wild Oak on that lower part. I'm just going through with the Sigma E30. Yeah, this will definitely be too deep for me to use on my inner corner, but it makes for a beautiful, like smudgy lash line vibe. I am finding when I'm using this brush, what I want to do is like put my brush in and then kind of swirl it around in the product and like tap a little bit because I'm getting like tiny, the camera's probably not going to pick this up, but there's ever so tiny little like balls of the product. And I got a couple of those underneath my lash line as I was going through with the brush. They were luckily able to like whisk away, but I don't really want to have those land. And then when I try to get them off, they smush down and then I've got that like shimmer on my face. Okay, I'm curious to see how these layer over one another. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that Wild Oak shade and just pop it over the first shade that we put on. You know what? I do feel like where I buffed out that shade, it actually can, I mean, it does look like two different colors. I feel like here it looks almost like a taupey based brown and then it gets more green on the lid. So I actually feel like buffing it, which makes more sense to me, buffing it sort of blurred away a little bit of that shimmer, just the tone of it, you know? Which is fine. I mean, it just sort of makes it look like I took the time to put a crease shade in before I put the other color on. Okay, so here we have the look. About what I expected, a very soft, easy. I mean, honestly, this would take me 5 minutes to do this eye look if I was like doing it and not yammering to a camera. I do just want to kind of like pull this out just to kind of see like how much, I mean, I can still kind of like buff this very edge out with the brush, even though it's been on my eyes for, you know, 10 minutes now. So I don't know that these set down to like industrial strength, but that's kind of nice because, you know, if they dry down to a powder finish, you are able to buff and blur them a little bit. So if you find it a little bit hard to work with some liquid or cream shadows and you're just looking for something really easy, really user-friendly, and you like a softer finish, I think this is going to be ideal for you. Okay, before I go and put on some mascara, I'm going to pop on a lip. I just happen to have the Sydney Grace lip shade in Lee. I'm not sure if this is considered a lip cream or a lip topper. To me, it's definitely more of a topper. It just has that little bit of like light glimmer to it. All right, I'm gonna go put on some mascara and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, mascara's on. By the way, I just used the Hourglass Unlocked. This tubing mascara is so nice, so nice. I haven't used it in quite a while and I have a couple tubes over here, so I really need to start using it. And I pulled it out and I was like, yes, I love this one. Okay, so some thoughts. First of all, I will let you know that I am going to do a little wear test. I will come back at the end of tonight before I go to bed and I will show you how this wore all day. Now, I typically do set my face, so I should probably do that. I usually do that before mascara, but especially since we're wearing a tubing mascara, it's not really gonna make that big of a deal. So now that I've set, we'll see. So it's 2:30 right now, so I should get a good 6 to 8 hours wear out of this before having to come back and show you. That way we can really see how the blush holds up, how the eyeshadow holds up, especially with me with having hooded eyes. We'll see if it creases, if it does crease, how bad it is, all of that. But initial thoughts, I really, really like this. So for my personal preferences, I am glad that I only picked up a couple of the Flash Florescence eyeshadows. Not that, I mean, and we'll see how they wear, but not that they are a bad product. It's exactly what I thought it was gonna be. It's a soft wash of shimmer, which is something that it's nice to have an opportunity for in my collection. It's just not something that I need all that often. The thing that I do like about these though is I do have some single shadows in my collection that are like soft washes, but for me to have to go and grab a palette of my single shadows to pick out one of those shades, it just takes more time. Whereas here, I can have a couple of these right here in my drawer and, you know, be able to like pull this out and quickly put this on. This is going to be great for those days where it's like, okay, I want to spend more time on my complexion and less time on my eyes, you know, which doesn't happen all that often, but there are those times. So I don't really find for myself and my makeup preferences needing to have more of the shades. They're beautiful. They're just not something that I need a lot of. What I am really liking, obviously, are the blushes. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just gorgeous. Oh, I was gonna go ahead and pull out one of my Sydney Grace. So let's go ahead and pull out, I've got Sydney Grace Dreamy right here. So very similar packaging, by the way. This is a Sydney Grace. These are almost identical. They're almost identical. I mean, it's a pretty basic package, right? So let's go ahead and we're gonna swatch Dreamy next to Evaporate because I feel like, I mean, they aren't similar shades. I mean, they're similar-ish, but they're, nope, that's a different feel, actually. I feel like the Phytosurgence are a bit thicker in feel. They're not thick by any means. I also feel, and it could just be the shades here, I just feel like it maybe melts into the skin a little bit better, but they're close. I would say they are definitely very, very close cousins. The Phytosurgence feels a little bit more emollient and a little bit more hydrating. The Sydney Grace almost has like a little bit of a dry down to like a powdery feel, I guess I would say. That's just, you know, off of swatching on my hand, but I do like them both. So I just wanted to give that note. Also, I know I'm not going to swatch them here because I know that the Cream Tint Pros are much more emollient and a thinner texture than the Phytosurgence. Not in a good or a bad way, it's just in a different way. Okay, if you have any questions, by the way, if you want me to like give you my thoughts on one of these compared to another blush product, let me know. I mean, I could sit here for hours and probably swatch out cream blushes, but we're not gonna do that. So if you wanna know them compared to anything else that I might have in my collection, just drop a comment and I would be glad to help you. The bronzer, Spectral Sunlight, I am really liking you. This is exactly what I want. It looks very natural, very, very natural, especially now that it's like set down into the skin. That feeling, and I keep saying waxy, but I just don't know what to call it. Balmy, it's sort of balmy, but not in a like slippery way. You know what I mean? It has gone down quite a bit and I could absolutely powder this and it would be completely gone. I'm not gonna powder it. This is one of the things that I love about days where I like slick my hair back is I can keep this all not powdered and I don't have to worry about any baby hairs like sticking into it. I will say if I had my hair down, chances are that I would give this a light dusting of translucent powder, just more so that my hair, you know, because like these little baby hairs will come down and they'll just like kind of get stuck. It's not sticky, but it does have a bit of a feel. I can't wait to try this. Thoughts coming in the new year. Thoughts coming in the new year. All right, lovelies. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that, you know, you enjoyed getting to hear my thoughts. Maybe getting to see some swatches and application of some of these helps you decide if there's a product that you want to buy from Phytosurgence. Now, if you have already purchased from this brand and you have thoughts and opinions, I would love to hear them down in the comments. Go ahead and help out the community by sharing your thoughts as well. So I'm going to head out for my errands that I was mentioning before. I feel put together. I feel very put together, but not like overly made up. And I think that that's exactly what the vibe of this brand is. So I think that this is very fitting. It's exactly what I expected. And now you're gonna see a clip of me several hours giving you a little wear test. Hello, good evening. It is now 10:45. So we definitely got a good 8 hours wear out of this today. I'm pretty happy. I am very happy. Now I will put a small disclaimer that I definitely did more face touching than I would usually. Jeremy and I have been watching The Wheel of Time and we just watched the season finale and I know that I was like stress touching, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So I'm not usually much of a face toucher, but at one point I just like felt myself going like this and I feel like this side has less than this side does. And that just kind of makes sense because I was rubbing all my makeup off out of stress. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here at how the makeup is looking. So, you know what? The eyeshadow actually looks not bad for 8 hours, like with a cream shadow. It's a little bit creasing. And of course, I did not have an eye primer or anything on, just concealer like I usually do. Yeah, it's creased a little bit, but I did look at about it was probably about the 4 or 5 hour mark, and it looked pretty good. So I wouldn't say that this is going to be an incredibly long wear product, but it is probably like a standard cream shadow, if that makes any sense. So I could probably put a long wear primer underneath this and get a few more hours out of it if I really needed to. Again, who knows, I could have even been like wiping my eyes. It's very, very possible. But look at that blush. She's looking cute still. Very, very cute. And I do think that I still have some bronzer going. I have to say, I could definitely see getting another bronzer, holding off until the summertime. I mean, I have more than enough bronzers right now, but maybe getting the rosy bronzer for summer, because it is just so beautifully buildable that I think that it just laid on the skin so nicely. And that feeling that I was feeling before is not there, by the way. So it's a beautiful product. Update, I probably already marked it in the in the swatches, probably when I was talking about the shades that sold out during the sale. They have restocked. Let me tell you, the team over at Phytosurgence must have been doing 24/7 like restock, because I don't even know how they're getting more product so quickly, but they put some of those blush shades back up on the site, and my friend Jodiology and I both had wanted them, and we both got them. So thank you, Jody, for taking the time to get that order for us. And I'm really excited because Lock Maiden, who I also mentioned in this video, she was saying that Ignite is sort of like a cream version of Maiden's Blush from RMS. And you know that is my my must-have blush. Be Still My Heart. So I was like, okay. And I saw the swatches. By the way, if you're not following Lock, you really should be. I will make sure to have her channel and her Instagram and Jody's Instagram down below so that you can follow these wonderful ladies as well. They are just beautiful human beings, and I really adore them both. So please go ahead and give them a follow. But anyway, so Lock was saying, like, I'm not saying it's a need, but it's kind of a need. I'm like, yes, I've already told Jody that I want it. So we did an order. So I will have those two blushes to share with you very soon. So all in all, after the wear test and everything, I definitely think that the blushes are a really great place to start. If you are a bronzer fan and you're looking for a new cream bronzer, that would also be a great way to go. The eyeshadows, I would just keep in mind, you know, they are so soft looking. So if that is something that you're in need of, I think that they were beautiful, and I think that they had about average wear time. So I'm so happy to have tried them, and I definitely know that I will find a place in my makeup wardrobe for those two, but it just won't be something that I'm grabbing time and time again. And I sort of knew that, you know, that was why I didn't like lean in hard, because I read they were very honest about the formula being a little bit of a softer look. I really think that they all are beautiful, and I'm happy with what I got. So that's it for the check-in. I hope that the wear test helps you decide if Phytosurgence is a brand that you'd like to try out. I know that I'm glad that I did. Thanks, lovelies. I'll see you really soon.